Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So it has been a pretty low morale few days. How long has it been? It feels like it's been a week since that final against Spurs in Bilbao. I was there. I remember coming out the ground thinking, I can't even be asked to do a reaction to that. And hence why we didn't have a match reaction up after the final. But I will react to that at the end of this video. We have got news coming out about Manchester United left, right, and centre, and I'm sure it'll be this way for the next couple of weeks, maybe months. It's going to be a strange summer for Manchester United. We approach the new campaign knowing, after some news from today, that Ruben Amorim is definitely going to be Manchester United manager. We kind of felt it was going to be that way, regardless of what happened in the final anyway. And also, we know after today that Alejandro Garnacho is probably not going to be a Manchester United man when the new season starts in August, as Ruben Amorim has told him to leave the club. We know there's going to be plenty of exits from Manchester United over the next couple of weeks and months, and we're going to be hearing news come out left, right, and centre. As I said, it's going to be absolutely mental, and I'm going to just try and round up some of my thoughts on the news that we're hearing break out today on that final. As I said it as well, it has been low morale since we left that San Mamés Stadium in Bilbao. It was low morale from when Spurs went 1-0 up, to be totally honest with you. And it was the first real time as well where, look, I know there's been a lot of reasons to kind of be disappointed as a Manchester United fan this season. We've been losing games left, right, and centre, and we've almost kind of learned to just ignore it now in the league. But it was the first real time where I started to doubt the manager and whether what we're doing is the right thing. Now, look, I think we have to stick with him, and I think we have to give him next season and see what he can do. There's going to be a lot of changes in the summer, as we know. We're only going to have domestic football to think about. Maybe that means we can shrink the squad down, bring some youth into the team and try and go from there and have a complete rebuild, which is probably what's needed. Maybe if we got Champions League football, look, I wanted to win the game. I wanted to get Champions League football. I wanted to see United win a trophy. But maybe if we did all that, it would have been papering over the cracks a little bit. Maybe some of these players survive when they maybe shouldn't be. And the rebuild takes a little bit longer. Look, I'm trying to get positives out of a almost everything negative situation, but I feel like we need to take this opportunity to just absolutely shred it to bits and start from there, and start from the ground up, and use this season to develop some of the younger players, bring some academy talent through, hopefully bring in some good signings if we can still do that. Obviously get rid of a lot of players and hopefully bring in some fees for them. And the talk at the moment, as we said, is Alejandro Garnacho. There's also some rumours linking Bruno Fernandes with a move to Saudi Arabia. And as I said, I'm sure plenty of other players are going to be leaving the club. Victor Lindelof, Johnny Evans, Tommy Heaton leaving the club for sure. Luke Shaw, what's going to happen there? He was speaking in pretty damning words after the cup final. And again, another poor performance from him, another poor showing from him this season. After breaking his back to be fit for England, he's been nowhere to be seen for Manchester United, been absolutely poor. He's not the only one. Plenty of other players at Manchester United. The goalkeeper, not good enough. It's that simple, not good enough. The striker, the number 9, not good enough. Need to move on from both of them. Can we bring in a fee for them? Is the plan to move them on? Are we trying to do too much at once? Do we just need to do all of that? You look in the midfield, Casemiro possibly going to move on. No European football to keep him at the club. There was talk about him leaving last summer. I thought he was decent in the European run, but generally the transfer hasn't gone to plan. You need to move on from that, so that's another one. Look, I'm leaving many players out, but there's so many different players that could leave United. There's very few you go, keep Lenny Yoro, Kobbie Mainoo. And if everyone else left, you wouldn't be that fussed. Obviously, there's a few players, Lissandro Martinez if he's back fit, Matthijs de Ligt, Nazer Mazraoui, Amad Diallo. I think I said Amad Diallo already anyway. But Bruno Fernandes used to be one of them, and now you're thinking, is this one again? I'm just sitting here thinking out loud. Is it time to just strip this all apart and just start again? Make as much money as you can from sales and just go from there. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, this story about from David Ornstein today. Ruben Amorim has informed his Manchester United squad he will remain in charge next season while telling Alejandro Garnacho to find a new club. Um, he has repeatedly insisted he will not quit, despite United staring at their worst finish of the Premier League era, with one game of the season remaining against Aston Villa on Sunday. Sources with knowledge of the matter speaking anonymously to protect relationships indicate Amorim addressed players at Carrington on Saturday to inform them of his own plans and of those for Garnacho. This is after Garnacho came out and was talking about let's see what happens about his own future, feeling like he had been thrown under his bus. His brother coming out and speaking this, that and the other. The managers finally stepped up and said, you know what, you can just look for a new club. And I can't blame the manager, to be totally honest with you. He probably needs to make a stand. Garnacho's running his mouth after the game. I can understand his disappointment. I didn't get the manager's substitutions. Kobbie Mainoo should have seen more minutes. Alejandro Garnacho should have seen more minutes. I agree with why he would be frustrated. But do I agree with the way he's gone about it? No. There's been a number of occasions where he's fallen out with managers or there's been disciplinary issues. Some would say this has probably been common. And United are in a position where, as I said, there's very few players. Amad Diallo, Lenny Yoro, Kobbie Mainoo. And again, I said there's some on the margins where you go, Lissandro Martinez, Matej de Ligt, Joshua Zirkzee maybe. Who else? I don't even know. There's not many players that you'd put your neck out and say, they gotta stay. And as I said, there's talk about Bruno Fernandes. Is it time to just cash in on him? And again, I don't have the answers, Sway. But a lot of these things are just feeling like nothing's working at the moment, so why not move on? And again, after the final, after this season, I do have my doubts over Ruben Amorim. I was pretty confident that he's the guy to fix this, and I still believe we should give him some time. I think there's some potential there with him. Has he shown a lot of it in this time? No. Did he want to come middle of the campaign? No. Is that an excuse for some of these results? No. But at the same time, he needs to be given time. I do like his honesty at times. It's nice to see him just coming out and being firm with everything at the moment and saying, I'm not standing for any of this. He needs to take that kind of stand. And United just need to tear it all up and start again. What the hell is going on at this club, man? It's been a massive low since that game against Spurs. And I suppose, we should have felt that way before that anyway, but we kind of had that, we could potentially still get Champions League football and a trophy out of this season, which would be huge. Obviously, it doesn't happen now. But now that it doesn't, you kind of look back and you go, fucking hell, this has been an absolute mess. And we couldn't even save it. We couldn't even salvage anything from it because we put in an embarrassing performance in Bilbao. An embarrassing performance. Spurs didn't even have to be that good. Their goal, I thought the first half and 0-0 was probably the fair result. They get their goal because of poor keeping from Onana. Luke Shaw doing what I'm not sure. And they're now 1-0 up. And then they held on to it in the second half. They didn't have to leave their box, really. It was a very good defensive performance. But United did nothing. Substitutions, the manager did nothing. The substitutions come too late. It was like everyone just froze. No one performed. Only Lenny Yoro. Lenny Yoro is the only one I can point out and go, you know what, he did well. It was a shit show by Man United. And who knows where we go next, man. But there's going to be a lot of changes afoot. That is for sure. And it looks like Alejandro Garnacho is not going to survive. He's going to be... Let's look at the squad there. You go through it and you go, who is going to be here next season? I'm just bringing it up now. you've got players like Anthony, Rashford, Sancho, who aren't at the club at the moment, who are definitely not going to be here next season. Then you've got, let's go through it by name. Joshua Zirkzee, is he going to be here next season? Part of me feels like he will be, but you never know. You never know. Cheetah Iwobi, I think he'll be here next season. Rasmus Højlund, I don't think he'll be here next season. Alejandro Garnacho, I don't think he'll be here next season. Amad Diallo, I think he'll be here next season. Manuel Ugarte, I think he will be, but again, I wouldn't be sad to see him go. And if we could get our money back, I think we probably would want to do that. Mason Mount, I think he'll be here next season because the manager seems to like him. But again, pretty much the same with what I said on Manuel Ugarte. Kobbie Mainoo, I think I'd love to see him here next season, and I hope he is here next season. He should have played more in the cup final as well. Then you got Sekou Kone, obviously young player. I would like to see him involved more next season. Bruno Fernandes, I would like to see him here next season, but I wouldn't be surprised if we sold him. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. Christian Eriksen, I don't think he should be here next season. Casemiro, I don't think he'll be here next season. Toby Collier, I think he will be. Matthijs de Ligt, I think he will be here next season, and I think he should be here next season. Lenny Yoro, the same. Luke Shaw shouldn't be here next season, but it wouldn't surprise me if he slipped through the net. Mazraoui, I think he should be here next season. Lisandro Martinez, the same. Harry Maguire, I wouldn't be sad to see him be here next season, but again, one of those where if we took 20-30 million for him, I wouldn't be surprised and I wouldn't be disappointed with that. Victor Lindelof, again, reports today that he's going to part way from the club at the end of the season. Happy to see that happening. Godwill Kukanki, who knows what's going to happen there. Potentially could be loaned out. Young players could get an opportunity though next season. We've only got domestic football. Aiden Heaven, the same. Hope he sticks around. Tyler Fredrickson, never know what's going to happen with that one. Johnny Evans is off. Paddy Dorgu, there's been some ups and some downs with him. I don't think he was the issue in the final, although I don't think he was great. I think he will be here next season. Diogo Dalot, I think he will be here next season. Again, wouldn't surprise me if he wasn't. Harry Amas, I think he will be. Andre Onana, I think we should sell him. You look at the rest of the goalkeepers, none of them are really standout number ones. We need one. So out of all of those players that I've said, Amad Diallo, Joshua Zirkzee, Cheetah Iwobi, maybe Manuel Ugarte or Mason Mount could be here. Kobbie Mainoo should be. Bruno, who knows, but we might cash in. Who knows what's going to develop in the next couple of weeks. Matthijs de Ligt, Lenny Yoro, Mazraoui, Martinez, maybe Maguire, Aiden Heaven, Diogo Dalot, Dorgu, Harry Amas. They're the only players that I could probably see being here next season. And even then, it wouldn't shock me if they weren't. There's going to be loads of changes ahead, man. Anyway, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Obviously, that's some of the news, but it's been super, super low morale. I've never known anything like it. Obviously, I'll try and summarise my thoughts on the season during the week and after the league campaign and do some reaction to what I'm sure is going to be another defeat for Man United against Aston Villa. And then, obviously, the end of the campaign, the summer coming up. I'll try and stick around and try and keep some positivity flowing, but oh my days right now. It's not looking good, bruv. See you later.